Samuel Alito is not just a story about one justice. He is the appearance problem. And appearance matters because justice does not only have to be fair. It has to look fair enough for the public to believe the ruling. Alito is one of the most consequential conservative justices in modern American history. He wrote the Dobbs opinion that overturned Roe versus Wade. He has helped shape the court's direction on rights, power, and constitutional interpretation. People can agree with his rulings or strongly disagree with them. Courts are not supposed to be popularity contests. But the more power a justice has, the more important public trust becomes. Because a Supreme Court justice does not only decide cases. A justice helps decide whether the public still believes law is separate from politics. This episode is not a criminal verdict. It is not a claim of proven bribery or guilt. It is a public trust question. Can the public believe the justice is impartial? Can the public believe disclosure rules matter? Can the public believe recusal is taken seriously? Can the public believe private access does not bend public judgment? Those are appearance questions. The Supreme Court's own code of conduct says justices should avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety. That word matters. Appearance. Because people judge institutions by what they can see, patterns, proximity, silence, and whether powerful people appear to answer to the same standards as everyone else. And when the institution is the highest court in the United States, appearance becomes part of legitimacy. That is why the reporting around Alito's luxury fishing trip mattered. Public reporting raised questions about a 2008 Alaska trip, private wealth, hospitality, disclosure, and recusal. Alito has denied wrongdoing. He has argued that disclosure was not required. He has argued that recusal was not required. His defense belongs in the story. But the public trust question does not disappear just because a justice believes he followed the rules. The deeper question is what the public sees when luxury travel, private access, powerful legal interests, and Supreme Court judgment appear in the same frame. The question is not whether we can prove a crime. That is not the claim. The question is whether the court looks distant enough from power to judge power fairly. That is why disclosure matters. Disclosure is one of the few ways the public can see whether gifts, travel, hospitality, financial interests, or private relationships might matter. A line on a form may look small. A checkbox may look technical. But in a democracy, those details are part of the trust system. They tell the public what was reported, what can be examined, and whether the same standard applies to everyone. When disclosure becomes unclear, trust becomes harder. Not because every missing detail proves corruption, but because transparency is how powerful institutions earn belief. Then comes recusal. Recusal is not an insult. It is not a confession. It is not a punishment. Recusal is a tool that protects the court from the appearance of bias. It tells the public that a case is too close, a situation could create doubt, and a justice is stepping aside so the institution can remain trusted. But at the Supreme Court, recusal decisions still largely rest with the individual justice. That means the justice at the center of a public trust question often decides whether the question is serious enough to require stepping aside. That is the self-policing problem again. And in Alito's case, the recusal issue became sharper because of the Flag Controversies. Reports about flags displayed at homes connected to Alito led to calls for him to recuse from cases involving Donald Trump and January 6th. Alito rejected those calls. He said his wife was responsible for the flags. He said the recusal standard was not met. He denied that the situation required him to step aside. Again, that defense belongs in the story. But the public trust question remains. When symbols connected to political conflict appear around a justice's home, the legal question may be recusal. But the public question is trust. Could a reasonable person look at the situation and wonder whether the court appears political? Could the appearance of politics weaken confidence in a justice's rulings, even if the justice believes he can be fair? That is why appearance matters. A court cannot simply say, "We know we are fair. Trust us." trust needs proof, distance, visible standards, restraint, transparency, and a public belief that no justice is above the rules expected from everyone else. John Roberts is the stewardship story, because he leads a court that largely polices itself. Clarence Thomas is the pressure point for gifts, luxury travel, disclosure questions, family-linked concerns, and recusal concerns. But Samuel Alito is the appearance problem. He shows what happens when controversial rulings, luxury access reporting, disclosure disputes, recusal questions, political symbols, and distrust collide. And the collision is dangerous because Alito's rulings are not symbolic. They change real life. Dobbs changed abortion law in America. It overturned Roe v. Wade and ended a constitutional protection that had existed for nearly 50 years. People will continue to debate that decision. But one thing is undeniable. It was consequential. And when a justice writes a decision that consequential, the appearance of impartiality matters even more. The bigger the ruling, the more trust is required. Because a court that reshapes a nation cannot afford to look like politics in a robe. Politics in a robe. When people lose faith in impartiality, every ruling starts to look partisan. Every legal argument starts to look like a political result dressed in legal language. And once that happens, the court may still have power. But power is not the same thing as trust. A court can still issue rulings, command compliance, and speak in the language of law. But if the public stops believing the law is separate from politics, the moral authority of the court begins to crack. And democracies get in trouble in that crack. That is why this episode has to be careful. It would be easy to make this about anger, name-calling, or claims the evidence does not prove. But that would weaken the argument. The stronger argument is the careful one. Alito has denied wrongdoing. He has defended himself. He has rejected claims that recusal was required. Those facts matter. But public trust is not only about what a justice believes privately. It is about whether the public can believe the system is fair. Whether accountability looks real. Whether disclosure looks complete. Whether recusal looks serious. Whether independence looks like integrity, not insulation. Judicial independence matters. Judges should not be threatened or treated like political employees. A democracy needs courts that can say no to power. But independence without accountability can start to look like insulation. And insulation is dangerous for trust. That is the line the Supreme Court is walking. It must be independent enough to withstand political pressure, but accountable enough to keep public confidence. It must be protected from intimidation, but not protected from reasonable questions. Samuel Alito sits directly inside that tension. His defenders see a justice being targeted because of his conservative rulings. His critics see a justice whose public controversies deepen doubts about impartiality. Both realities shape the trust crisis. Because in a polarized democracy, every explanation is filtered through suspicion, and every ruling becomes a battlefield. And the court is supposed to be the place above that battlefield. The place where law can still stand apart from power. But if the court starts to look like another front in the political war, then the wall begins to bend. That is why Canada should watch. Not because Canadians get to judge America from a distance, but because democratic pressure travels. The language of distrust travels. The weakening of public faith travels. When the highest court in the United States struggles with confidence, the warning does not stop at the border. For Canadians, this is not entertainment. It is a civic warning. A court can lose trust slowly. Not with one ruling, one trip, one flag, or one disclosure form, but through accumulation. Through unresolved questions. Through the appearance of double standards. Through the feeling that powerful people answer mostly to themselves. The Supreme Court still has power. Samuel Alito still has power. The court can still rule, still shape the country, and still tell presidents, Congress, agencies, states, and movements one word. No. But the question is whether the public still believes that no comes from law, not politics, access, ideology, private loyalty, or self-protection. Because justice does not only have to be fair. It has to look fair enough to be trusted. And when justice starts to look political, trust breaks. That is the appearance problem. That is the Alito problem. Appearance is part of legitimacy. Disclosure is part of legitimacy. Recusal is part of legitimacy. Public confidence is part of legitimacy. The court may stand behind marble walls, but the trust question stands outside those walls, looking in. And the public is left asking, if the court polices everyone else, who polices the court? Canada is watching net. And so is the world. Support democracy by supporting Ukraine directly through United 24 Media. Links in the description. Subscribe so you don't miss our weekly deep dives. Big hugs. Big Dave. Slava Ukraini.